First contact and tragedy. The vastness of space had always called to humanity, a siren song of endless possibility. For centuries we gazed at the stars, wondering if we were alone. In 2157, we got our answer. The Zarkai arrived in a flash of light that outshone the sun, their sleek vessels gliding into Earth's orbit with an alien grace that left humanity in awe. They came not with violence, but with open arms and minds full of cosmic wonders. Dr. Elara Chen, Earth's foremost xenolinguist, stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, her heart racing as she watched the alien ship dock. At 35, she had dedicated her life to the possibility of this moment, developing theoretical frameworks for communicating with extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, theory would become practice. "Ready, Doctor?" Captain Miguel Alvarez asked, his normally stoic face betraying a hint of excitement. Elara nodded, smoothing her uniform. "As ready as one can be to make first contact with an alien species, Captain." The airlock hissed open, and 3 Zarkai stepped through. They were tall, easily 7 feet, with iridescent skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked in unison as they took in the human welcoming party. The lead Zarkai raised a 6-fingered hand in what seemed to be a gesture of peace. "Greetings, children of Earth," it said, its voice a melodious trill that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "We are the Zarkai, travelers from the star you call Proxima Centauri." Elara stepped forward, mirroring the alien's gesture. "Welcome to Earth. I am Dr. Elara Chen, and on behalf of humanity, we extend our hands in friendship." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of cultural exchange and scientific revelation. The Zarkai shared insights into faster-than-light travel, anti-gravity technology, and the existence of a galactic community of intelligent species. Humanity, in turn, shared its art, music, and the tenacious spirit that had driven it to the stars. As Earth's governments debated how to proceed with this new relationship, a decision was made to send a delegation to the Zarkai homeworld. Among those chosen was Kira Yoshida, a 22-year-old prodigy in xenobiology. Her youthful enthusiasm and brilliant mind had caught the attention of both human and Zarkai scientists. On the day of departure, Kira stood before the massive Zarkai ship, her eyes wide with wonder. Dr. Chen placed a hand on her shoulder. "Remember, Kira, you're not just representing Earth. You're representing the best of humanity's curiosity and compassion." Kira nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "I won't let you down, Dr. Chen." The journey to Proxima Centauri took mere days, a testament to the advanced Zarkai technology. As they approached the alien world, Kira pressed her face against the viewport, drinking in the sight of swirling purple clouds and sprawling cities that seemed to float on air. The diplomatic party was welcomed with a grand ceremony in the Zarkai capital. Alien dignitaries from across the galaxy had gathered to witness humanity's official introduction to the galactic community. Kira found herself swept up in a whirlwind of new sights, sounds, and smells. During a tour of a Zarkai research facility, Kira's curiosity got the better of her. She noticed a shimmering device that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Unable to resist, she stepped closer, reaching out to touch it. "Kira, no." Dr. Chen's warning came too late. The moment Kira's fingers brushed the device, alarms blared throughout the facility. Zarkai security forces rushed in, their normally placid faces contorted with panic. "Step away from the temporal anchor," one of them shouted, leveling a weapon at Kira. Confused and frightened, Kira stumbled backward. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean." A blast of energy erupted from the security officer's weapon. Time seemed to slow as Dr. Chen watched in horror. She lunged forward, trying to push Kira out of the way, but she was too late. The energy bolt struck Kira squarely in the chest. For a moment, she stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock and pain. Then, like a marionette with cut strings, she crumpled to the ground. Chaos erupted. Human diplomats shouted for medical assistance, while Zarkai officials tried to explain that the weapon had been set to stun, not kill. But as Dr. Chen cradled Kira's lifeless body, she knew the truth. The young woman's fragile human physiology had been unable to withstand the alien weapon's force. In that moment, as Kira's blood stained the pristine floor of the Zarkai facility, the promise of peaceful first contact shattered. Dr. Chen looked up at the Zarkai, tears streaming down her face, and saw not the advanced, benevolent species they had thought them to be, but something alien and terrifying. News of Kira's death spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. On Earth, shock turned to grief, and grief to anger. Humanity, so recently uplifted by the promise of a grand galactic future, now faced a harsh reality. The universe was not only vast and wondrous, but also dangerous and unpredictable. In the halls of power on Earth, leaders gathered in emergency sessions. The question on everyone's lips was the same: how should humanity respond? Admiral Viktor Petrov, a grizzled veteran of Earth's space forces, stood before the United Nations Security Council. His voice, usually a confident boom, was somber. We extended the hand of friendship, and they returned it with the body of one of our brightest young minds. We cannot let this stand. But others urged caution. Dr. Chen, still reeling from witnessing Kira's death, pleaded for understanding. It was an accident, a tragic misunderstanding. We can't throw away this opportunity for peaceful cooperation over a mistake, no matter how painful. As the debate raged on Earth, the Zarkai retreated, their initial warmth replaced by a wary defensiveness. Other alien species, watching the unfolding drama, began to whisper among themselves. Humanity, they realized, was not the harmless, primitive species they had assumed. There was a fire in these Earthlings, a determination that both intrigued and frightened them. In a secret facility beneath the lunar surface, a group of Earth's most influential leaders gathered. They stood before a holographic display showing a vast fleet of ships, hidden from the world for decades. Project Prometheus, General Liang explained, her voice filled with a mix of pride and trepidation. Developed in secret since the early 21st century. A fleet of warships with technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien vessels. We always knew this day might come. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had a hidden ace up its sleeve, a weapon that could potentially shift the balance of power in the galaxy. President Amari of the African Union was the first to speak. The question now is not whether we can defend ourselves, but whether we should. Are we prepared to potentially start an interstellar war? As the lunar night fell, casting long shadows across the facility, Earth's leaders grappled with a decision that would shape the future of humanity. In orbit above, the stars twinkled, unaware of the momentous choice being made beneath them. Across Earth, vigils were held for Kira Yoshida. Her face, young and full of hope, became a symbol of humanity's dreams of the stars and of the harsh reality of their new place in the cosmic order. In her apartment in Tokyo, Kira's mother, Yuki Yoshida, clutched her daughter's childhood telescope. Through her tears, she looked up at the night sky, at the star that had taken her daughter. In that moment, she felt the weight of humanity's choice pressing down upon her. As dawn broke over Earth, humanity stood at a crossroads. The path of peace lay in one direction, the drums of war in another. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which path the young species would choose. In the coming days, the course of galactic history would be forever altered. Humanity, once a mere speck in the cosmic ocean, was about to make waves that would ripple across the stars. The lunar facility hummed with tension as Earth's leaders debated humanity's response to Kira Yoshida's death. Outside, the stark lunar landscape stretched endlessly, a silent witness to the meeting that would shape galactic history. Admiral Viktor Petrov's voice cut through the chaos. We've hidden Prometheus long enough. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with. Dr. Ilara Chen, still haunted by the memory of Kira's final moments, countered, but at what cost? We could be starting a war we're not prepared to fight. President Amari raised a hand, silencing the room. Before we make any decisions, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. General Liang, tell us more about Prometheus. General Liang nodded, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface. The room darkened, and a massive starship materialized in the center of the chamber. Its design was unlike anything publicly known to exist, sleek, predatory, and unmistakably built for war. Dr. Chen shook her head in disbelief. All this time, we've had the power to stand as equals with advanced species, and we chose to hide it. Admiral Petrov leaned forward. We chose to be cautious, Doctor. And now that caution might save us all. As the debate raged on, billions of kilometers away, deep in the Oort cloud, something stirred. Proximity alarms, silent for decades, began to chime. The Prometheus fleet was awakening. On the bridge of the flagship Olympus, Admiral Katerina Volkov opened her eyes, emerging from cryosleep. She blinked away the disorientation, her mind racing to catch up with a world that had changed dramatically since she entered stasis. "Status report," she croaked, her voice rough from disuse. Her XO, Commander David Chen, no relation to Dr. Elara Chen, helped her to her feet. "The recall order came through, Admiral. Earth has made first contact, and it didn't go well." Volkov absorbed the information with a grim nod. This was the scenario they had prepared for, the reason Prometheus existed. "Begin revival procedures for all crew. I want this fleet ready to move in 24 hours. As the Prometheus fleet shook off its long slumber, ripples spread across the galaxy. Ancient sensor arrays, left by long-dead civilizations, detected the energy signatures of the awakening armada. In distant star systems, alien species received the alerts with growing alarm. On Zarkai Prime, the High Council convened an emergency session. First Speaker Zalana addressed the assembly, her luminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. "Esteemed colleagues, we have gravely misunderstood the humans," she began. "Our scouts report energy signatures consistent with a massive fleet, far beyond what we believed them capable of producing." Second Speaker Kroval, his facial tentacles writhing in agitation, interjected, "Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind ours. These readings must be a mistake." "I'm afraid not," Zalna replied. "We have confirmed the data with multiple sources. The humans have deceived us, and now they have awakened a sleeping giant." The council chamber erupted into chaos. Some called for immediate military action, while others insisted on renewed diplomatic efforts. The accidental death of Kira Yoshida, once seen as a regrettable but minor incident, now loomed as the potential spark for an interstellar conflict. Back on Earth, in the sprawling metropolis of Neo-Tokyo, Yuki Yoshida sat in her daughter's room, surrounded by mementos of a life cut short. Kira's dreams of bridging the gap between species, of fostering understanding across the cosmic divide, seemed further away than ever. A soft chime drew Yuki's attention to Kira's computer. A message flickered on the screen, a final transmission from her daughter, sent just before that fateful encounter on the Zarkai world. With trembling fingers, Yuki pressed play. Kira's face filled the screen, her eyes bright with excitement. "Mom, you won't believe what I've seen. The Zarkai, they're amazing. There's so much we can learn from each other. I know there's been some tension, but I really believe we can work through it. We have to. The galaxy's too wondrous for us to stay divided." Tears streamed down Yuki's face as the message ended. In that moment, she made a decision. Her daughter's dream would not die with her. Wiping her eyes, Yuki composed a message to Dr. Elara Chen. "Doctor, we need to talk. About Kira, about the future. There has to be another way." As Yuki's message traversed the digital networks of Earth, the planet held its breath. In government offices, military bases, and homes around the world, humans grappled with their new reality. They were no longer alone in the universe, no longer the underdogs. With Prometheus, they had the power to shake the galaxy, or to burn it all down. In orbit, the International Space Station continued its silent vigil. Commander Sarah Liang, General Liang's daughter, gazed out at the stars, unaware of the momentous decisions being made on the lunar surface below. She thought of her friend Kira, of the dreams they had shared of a united galaxy. Sarah's reverie was interrupted by a priority alert. Her eyes widened as she read the message. "Oh my God," she whispered. The Prometheus fleet was coming home. As the first light of dawn crept across the lunar surface, Earth's leaders emerged from their secret conclave. The weight of their decision was etched on their faces. President Amari addressed the waiting world, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "People of Earth, citizens of humanity, we stand at a crossroads. The galaxy has revealed itself to us in all its wonder and its danger. We have suffered a grievous loss, but we must not let that loss define us. Today, we reveal a truth long hidden. We are stronger than the galaxy knows." Screens around the world showed the first images of the Prometheus fleet as it emerged from its extra-dimensional hiding place. Massive ships, dwarfing anything seen before, moved into formation around Earth and its moon. A collective gasp echoed across the planet. President Amari continued, "We did not seek conflict, but neither will we shrink from it. To the Zarkai, and to all species watching, know this: humanity extends one hand in peace, but the other is ready for war. The choice is yours." As her words echoed across the stars, carried by faster-than-light communications, the galaxy trembled. Humanity, the young upstart species, had just announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way that could not be ignored. On the bridge of the Olympus, Admiral Volkov watched the streams of data flowing in. Reports of alien fleets mobilizing, of diplomatic channels buzzing with frantic activity. She turned to Commander Chen, her expression grim but determined. "And so it begins," she said softly. "May we be worthy of the power we wield." The Prometheus fleet assumed a defensive formation around Earth, its weapons primed but not targeting. The next move would belong to the galaxy. As humanity collectively held its breath, one question burned in every mind. Had they just secured their place among the stars, or ignited a war that would consume them all? Galactic tensions rise. The revelation of the Prometheus fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Species that had once dismissed humanity as a curiosity now scrambled to reassess their stance. The delicate balance of power that had held for millennia began to shift, and with it, the specter of war loomed ever larger. On Zarkai Prime, the High Council chamber was a scene of barely controlled chaos. First Speaker Zalana struggled to maintain order as accusations and demands for action flew from all corners. "We must strike now," thundered Provol, his facial tentacles whipping in agitation, "before the humans can fully mobilize their fleet." Zalna's iridescent skin pulsed with stress patterns, and risked galactic war. "We don't even know the full extent of their capabilities." A quiet voice cut through the din. Talok, the eldest of the council, raised a gnarled hand. "Perhaps," he said, his voice quavering with age, "we should consider that we may have gravely misunderstood the humans from the beginning." The chamber fell silent, all eyes turning to the ancient sage. Talok continued, "They hid this fleet not out of deception, but out of caution. They came to us in peace, sharing what they could without revealing their true strength. Is that not the mark of a species worthy of respect, rather than fear?" His words hung in the air, a moment of reflection in the storm of reaction. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other species watched and waited. The Arcturian Confederation, known for its vast trading networks, saw opportunity in the chaos. The hive mind of Delta Pavonis feared the upset of the galactic order they had so carefully manipulated for centuries. On Earth, the aftermath of the revelation brought its own challenges. Dr. Elara Chen found herself thrust into the spotlight, her expertise in xenolinguistics now critical in navigating the treacherous waters of interstellar diplomacy. She stood before the United Nations, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "We have the power to destroy, yes, but also to build. The Prometheus fleet can be a shield or a sword. The choice is ours. In the audience, Yuki Yoshida listened intently. Since sending her message to Dr. Chen, she had become an unexpected voice for peace, channeling her grief into a movement that sought to honor Kira's memory through understanding, not vengeance. As the debate raged on Earth, Admiral Katerina Volkov of the Olympus faced her own dilemmas. The Prometheus fleet hovered at the edge of the solar system, a coiled spring waiting for release. "Admiral," her XO, Commander Chen reported, "we're picking up movement from multiple sectors. Alien fleets are mobilizing." Volkov's jaw tightened. Defensive postures or offensive? "Unclear, ma'am, but the fleet is definitely on the move." Closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. When she opened them, her gaze was steel. "Bring the fleet to condition yellow. I want all systems primed, but weapons cold. We're not going to fire the first shot." As tensions rose, an unexpected player entered the game. The Galactic Conclave, a loose federation of elder species, called for an emergency summit. Their invitation, extended to all spacefaring races including humanity, offered a neutral ground for diplomacy. President Amari, along with a delegation including Dr. Chen and Yuki Yoshida, prepared to depart for the neutral space station Harmonium, where the summit would be held. The decision to include Yuki was controversial, but Amari stood firm. "Who better to represent our commitment to peace than the mother of the young woman whose death brought us to this precipice?" Amari argued. As Earth's delegation departed, escorted by a contingent of the Prometheus fleet, the solar system held its breath. The outcome of this summit could determine the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The journey to Harmonium was tense. Earth's ships, a mix of their public technology and a few Prometheus vessels, drew wary looks from other delegations as they approached the massive space station. Shaped like a blooming flower, Harmonium was a marvel of cooperative engineering, each petal housing representatives from different species. Inside, the Grand Concourse was a riot of alien life. Dr. Chen's linguistic implants worked overtime, translating a cacophony of languages. Yuki Yoshida, overwhelmed by the diversity of life around her, clutched a small holo of Kira, drawing strength from her daughter's memory. The Earth delegation was approached by a towering crystalline being. "Welcome," it chimed, the sound like tinkling glass. "I am Sarvith, arbiter of the conclave. We are gratified by your attendance." Before they could respond, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of Zarkai delegates had noticed the humans. First speaker Zalana, her composure slipping, pointed an accusing finger. "How dare you bring your warmongering to this sacred place of diplomacy?" President Amari stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We come in peace as we always have. It is not warmongering to be prepared to defend oneself." The tension was palpable, other species watching the exchange with a mix of fear and fascination. It was Yuki who broke the standoff. She stepped forward, tears in her eyes but her voice strong. "My daughter," she said, holding up Kira's holo, "dreamed of this. Of species coming together, learning from each other. Her death was a tragedy, but it doesn't have to be the spark that burns the galaxy." Her words, translated and broadcasted across the station, caused a ripple of murmurs. Many delegates, seeing the grief and hope warring on Yuki's face, felt a stirring of empathy. Zalana, caught off guard by this display of raw emotion, hesitated. We did not intend for anyone to die," she said softly. "Then let's ensure no one else does," Dr. Chen interjected. "We have an opportunity here to turn tragedy into understanding." As the delegates moved towards the main chamber for the opening session, a new undercurrent of cautious hope began to flow, but the path to peace remained fraught with danger. In orbit around Harmonium, ships from 100 species maintained an uneasy watch on each other. On the bridge of the Olympus, Admiral Volkov received a priority communication from Earth. General Liang's hologram flickered to life. "Admiral, We've detected anomalous readings from the Oort cloud. Something's out there, and it's not one of ours. Volkov's blood ran cold. Alien ships. Liang shook her head. Unknown, but whatever it is, it's big, and it's heading towards the inner solar system. As Volkov processed this information, she realized the summit at Harmonium might be working with incomplete information. An unknown player was entering the game, and the stakes had just gotten higher. Inside Harmonium, oblivious to this new threat, the delegates prepared to begin their negotiations. The fate of galactic peace hung in the balance, with humanity's place in the cosmic order yet to be determined. As the grand doors to the main chamber swung open, President Amari turned to her delegation. "Remember," she said, her voice low, "we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for a future where all species can coexist." With that, they stepped into the chamber, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them. But as they took their seats, none of them could have imagined the true scale of the threat that was even now racing towards Earth, silent and deadly in the vast emptiness of space. The galactic stage was set, the players in position, but an unseen hand was about to shuffle the deck, and the game was far from over. The Battle of Andromeda's Edge. As the diplomatic dance continued within the crystalline chambers of Harmonium, a storm was brewing in the vast emptiness of space. Admiral Katerina Volkov stood on the bridge of the Olympus, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the movement of the unknown entity approaching Earth. "Status report," she barked, her voice taut with tension. Commander Chen's fingers flew over his console. "The object has accelerated, Admiral. At current speeds, it will reach Earth in less than 48 hours. Volkov's jaw clenched. And still no response to our hails. "None, ma'am. It's as if it's not even receiving them." The Admiral made a decision. "Inform Earth and recall all available ships. We're moving to intercept." As the Prometheus fleet began to mobilize, the news reached Harmonium. The Grand Chamber, moments ago filled with the heated words of negotiation, fell silent as President Amari received the urgent communication. "Delegates of the galaxy," she announced, her voice grave, "I've just been informed of a situation that concerns us all. An unknown entity of immense size and power is approaching Earth at alarming speed." The chamber erupted into chaos. Accusations flew, fear and suspicion thick in the air. Dr. Elara Chen, her mind racing, suddenly made a connection. "Wait," she shouted, her voice cutting through the din. The temporal anchor that Kira touched. What if it wasn't just a research tool? What if it was a beacon? First speaker Zalna's eyes widened in realization. "By the eternal stars," she whispered, "we may have awakened something ancient and terrible." As the implications sank in, a new sense of urgency gripped the delegates. Age-old rivalries were set aside as the galaxy faced a potential threat to all sentient life. Back on the Olympus, Admiral Volkov watched as ships from a dozen species fell into formation alongside the Prometheus fleet. The Zarkai battlecruiser Eternal Light took up position on their flank, its captain sending a brief message: "We stand with Earth." As the combined fleet approached the edge of the solar system, the unknown entity finally came into view. It defied easy description, a writhing mass of dark energy and strange geometries, vast beyond comprehension. "My God," breathed Commander Chen, "it's not a ship. It's alive." Before Volkov could respond, the entity pulsed, and a wave of energy washed over the fleet. Ships tumbled, their systems momentarily scrambled. As they recovered, a booming voice filled every communication channel, every mind. "CL Duran of the STRs, you hei TLL'd, and we hei ANSTLHE. The harvest begins anew." On Harmonium, the delegates watched in horror as the feeds from the battle came in. The entity, now revealed as an ancient race of energy beings known as the Harvesters, began to tear into the combined fleet. Yuki Yoshida, watching alongside Dr. Chen, felt a sudden clarity. This is what Kira saw, she said softly. This is why the temporal anchor was so heavily guarded. They knew. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. The Zarkai weren't being secretive. They were being protective of all of us. As the battle raged at the edge of the solar system, the true test of humanity and its place in the galaxy began. The Prometheus fleet, designed for combat against material foes, struggled to land effective blows against the energy-based harvesters, but they didn't fight alone. Zarkai ships unleashed salvos of exotic particles, momentarily disrupting the harvesters' form. Arcturian vessels danced through the chaos, their advanced shields deflecting the worst of the energy attacks. And at the heart of it all, the ships of Earth stood firm, their determination a rallying point for the entire fleet. Admiral Volkov's voice rang out across the battlefield. All ships, concentrate fire on the central mass. We need to disrupt their cohesion. As the combined fleet fought with ever-increasing coordination, a strange thing began to happen. The disparate tactics and technologies of the various species began to synergize in unexpected ways. A Zarkai energy pulse would momentarily solidify a section of the harvester entity, allowing Earth's kinetic weapons to land devastating blows. Arcturian shields, linked with human power systems, created bubbles of safety in the heart of the maelstrom. On Harmonium, the delegates watched in awe as the battle unfolded. Species that had been at each other's throats mere hours ago now cheered each other's victories, mourned each other's losses. President Amari turned to first speaker Zalina, extending a hand. Whatever happens, we face it together. Zalina took the offered hand, her iridescent skin glowing with emotion. Together, she agreed. Back in the heart of the battle, the Olympus shuddered under another energy assault. Fires broke out on multiple decks, and the ship's AI reported critical damage to several systems. Admiral Volkov, her uniform singed and her face streaked with soot, refused to yield. Reroute all power to the main cannon. We're going to punch a hole right through their heart. As the Olympus's weapon charged, other ships moved to protect it. The Eternal Light took a devastating hit meant for the human flagship, its hull cracking under the strain. Now, Volkov shouted. The Olympus's main cannon fired, a lance of pure energy and matter that cut through the void. It struck the harvester entity dead center, and for a moment, all seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a silent scream that echoed in the minds of every being present, the entity began to collapse in on itself. Its writhing form condensed, twisted, and finally imploded in a burst of light that momentarily outshone the sun. As the light faded and the dust settled, the combined fleet hung in space, battered but victorious. The harvesters were gone, their ancient threat ended not by any one species, but by the united efforts of a galaxy brought together in the face of extinction. On the bridge of the Olympus, Admiral Volkov allowed herself a small smile. Send word to Harmonium, she ordered. The threat has been neutralized, and tell them it was a group effort. As the news spread across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on 1,000 worlds. On Harmonium, delegates who had been bitter enemies embraced as friends. The battle had lasted mere hours, but its impact would be felt for generations to come. Dr. Chen, her eyes shining with tears of joy and relief, turned to Yuki Yoshida. Kira would have loved to see this, she said softly. Yuki nodded, clutching her daughter's holo to her chest. She did see it, she replied, in her dreams of a united galaxy. And now, because of her, because of all of us, that dream is becoming reality. As the delegates began to discuss the shape of this new, united galaxy, the ships of the combined fleet made their way home. They carried with them not just the scars of battle, but the seeds of a new era of cooperation and understanding. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that day, as if in approval of the newfound unity of their children. The galaxy had faced its trial by fire and emerged stronger for it. And at the heart of this transformation stood humanity, no longer the new kids on the block, but equal partners in a grand cosmic alliance. The Battle of Andromeda's Edge was over. The work of building a truly united galaxy had just begun. A new galactic order. The days following the Battle of Andromeda's Edge were a whirlwind of activity across the galaxy. As the dust settled and the full impact of recent events began to sink in, leaders from every corner of known space convened on Harmonium to shape the future of their newfound alliance. President Amari stood at the center of the grand concourse, her voice carrying to every delegate present and to billions watching on countless worlds. We gather here not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equals. The threat we face together has shown us that our strength lies not in our differences, but in our unity. First speaker Zalana of the Zarkai stepped forward to stand beside her. For too long, we have viewed the galaxy through the lens of competition. Today, we begin to see it through the eyes of cooperation. As applause filled the chamber, Dr. Elara Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of bittersweet triumph. The unity they were witnessing had come at a great cost, but it was a testament to the resilience of all sapient life. The Galactic Concord, as the new alliance came to be known, took shape over the following weeks. Committees were formed, treaties drafted, and a framework for interstellar cooperation began to emerge. At its heart was a simple yet powerful idea: the sharing of knowledge and resources for the betterment of all. On Earth, the revelation of Project Prometheus and the subsequent battle had sparked a renaissance of sorts. The isolation that had defined human history was giving way to a new era of cosmic citizenship. Universities around the world began offering courses in xenobiology, alien linguistics, and interstellar diplomacy. The stars, once distant points of light, were now destinations filled with possibility. Admiral Katerina Volkov found herself in an unexpected role as she stood before a class of wide-eyed cadets at the newly established Galactic Defense Academy. The Prometheus fleet was built in secrecy, born from fear of the unknown, she began. But its true purpose was revealed in that final battle. We are not the galaxy's protectors alone, but part of a greater whole. As she spoke, holographic displays showed ships of various designs: Zarkai, Arcturian, human, and a dozen others, flying in formation. This is the future of galactic security. Not one species standing alone, but all of us together. Meanwhile, in a quiet garden on Harmonium, Yuki Yoshida sat with Turlock, the elder Zarkai sage. They had formed an unlikely friendship, bonded by their shared vision of peace. "Your daughter's dream lives on," Turlock said softly, his aged tentacles gently patting Yuki's hand. "In every child of every species who now looks to the stars with hope instead of fear." Yuki smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. Kira would have loved this. All these different beings, learning from each other, growing together. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Chen, excitement evident in her stride. "Yuki, Turlock, you need to see this." She led them to a nearby laboratory where a team of multi-species scientists huddled around a glowing artifact. With a start, Yuki recognized it as the temporal anchor that Kira had touched on that fateful day. "We've deciphered more of its functionality," Dr. Chen explained. "It's not just a beacon or a weapon. It's a repository of knowledge left behind by an ancient race that faced the harvesters eons ago." Turlock's eyes widened. "The predecessors," he whispered. "They were thought to be mere legend." As the scientists swerved, holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing star maps, technological schematics, and glimpses of a civilization that had flourished when the galaxy was young. "This changes everything," Dr. Chen breathed. "With this knowledge, we can push the boundaries of science, explore further than we ever dreamed possible." Yuki felt a warmth in her chest, a sense that Kira was somehow present, sharing in this moment of discovery. "She brought us together," Yuki said softly. "Even in death, she brought us all together." As news of the discovery spread, a new sense of purpose infused the Galactic Concord. The knowledge left behind by the predecessors offered solutions to problems that had plagued individual species for millennia: clean energy, faster than light travel, even the beginnings of a theory for traversing parallel dimensions. But with great knowledge came great responsibility. The leaders of the Concord, still fresh from their victory over the harvesters, were all too aware of the dangers that power could bring. In a private meeting, President Amari, First Speaker Zalina, and representatives from other major species debated the path forward. "We must be cautious," urged Aksavith, the crystalline arbiter of the conclave. "The predecessors fell despite their advanced knowledge. We must learn from their mistakes as well as their triumphs." Amari nodded in agreement. "We'll establish protocols for the gradual integration of this knowledge. Our growth must be matched by our wisdom." As the meeting concluded, a sense of cautious optimism filled the room. The galaxy stood on the brink of a new golden age, one built on the foundations of unity and mutual understanding. Months turned to years, and the changes wrought by the Battle of Andromeda's Edge and its aftermath became the new normal. The Prometheus fleet, once Earth's secret weapon, became the core of a new galactic defense force, with ships and crews from dozens of species serving side by side. On Earth, the Sierra Nevada spaceport buzzed with activity as the first joint human-Zarkai colony ship prepared for launch. Dr. Chen, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Concord, gave a final interview before boarding. "We're not just exploring new worlds," she told the eager journalist. "We're exploring new ways of being, of coexisting. Every step we take among the stars is a step towards a brighter future for all sapient life." As the colony ship lifted off, its hull gleaming in the sunlight, Yuki Yoshida watched from a viewing platform. Beside her stood holographic representations of President Amari and First Speaker Zalina, a testament to the technology born from the new era of cooperation. "She would have been on that ship," Yuki said, a hint of sadness in her voice. Zolna's hologram flickered as she turned to Yuki. "In a way she is. Her spirit, her dream, flies with them to the stars." Amari nodded in agreement. Kira Yoshida will be remembered not just as a catalyst for change, but as a symbol of what we can achieve when we reach out to one another in peace and curiosity. As the ship disappeared into the blue sky, becoming one more point of light among the stars, Yuki felt a sense of peace settle over her. The galaxy had been forever changed, and though the road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, the sentient species of the Milky Way would face them together. In a quiet corner of the spaceport, a small plaque caught the sunlight. It bore a simple inscription: "In memory of Kira Yoshida. Her dream united the stars. Ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulties." The story of humanity's awakening had come full circle. From a species alone in the cosmos to a key member of a galactic family, Earth had found its place among the stars. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space and time, Kira Yoshida's spirit smiled upon the united galaxy she had helped to create. As the sun set on this new age of exploration and cooperation, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, beckoning the children of 100 worlds to come and explore their mysteries together. The end was just the beginning.